Good afternoon to talking and welcome to Talking Bollocks part 51. I fucked up the one, as you can clearly see, so it's kind of now like an arrow, but yeah. It's harder than I thought sometimes to write things backwards, having even written it loads and loads of times, but yeah. Anyway, it is what it is, right? It is Sunday, May the 17th, and it's 7 minutes to 6. I haven't been doing lots today. I've been really, really distracted. Equally kind of bored, distracted, and can't seem to settle to anything. And that seems to be the case probably about 1 in each 7 days. And then I was getting so bored and distracted that I was actually starting to then get really pissed off at myself. And I don't know about you, I tend to do this thing where I talk to myself. I guess lots of people probably do. And I was telling myself how pissed off and distracted I was with myself whilst being pissed off and distracted with myself. So I was going in this cyclical motion of just being pissed off and distracted in myself, and just knew that I wasn't going to get anything done or do anything. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to properly sit down and do a meditation, which I'm sort of supposed to be doing every day anyway. For some reason it seems to be hard to sit down and do nothing for 20 minutes, even though I can sit down and play Angry Birds or some other phone game that I'm playing. And so I sat down and meditated, and I do feel better for it. I just feel a little bit more sort of grounded. Hang on, I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. Sucks to have hay fever. I didn't get it until a few years ago as well. I don't know why. I think it's my nose and my brain telling me that I'm supposed to live not in the city. Although that wouldn't really work because, you know, there's probably more pollen in the country. I don't know. But anyway, so I meditated for 20 minutes or so, and I do feel a bit more settled. I still feel a bit but not angry, just kind of like ants in your pants kind of feeling. Like you don't know what you're supposed to be doing with yourself, even though there's loads, obviously, I could be doing, because, you know, there's always stuff that you can do, right? And I just think it's a mental health thing. It's because I know that it's almost like a Groundhog Day each and every day. I find that probably like other people, I'm going over some stuff, old ground, although I kind of tend to do that anyway, but I'm trying to do it differently this time, regardless of whether we're on lockdown or not, with the meditation and the kind of learning more about centering myself and learning more about me from the inside out and centering that. But yeah, just one of those days where I got up and I felt like I had hours and hours and hours to do some stuff I sort of wanted to do, and then I didn't do any of it. I haven't done any of it still. But I was like, okay, I need to meditate. I need to just sit and not be on a screen, not be listening to music, just chilling and just kind of being, and it does help. So, you know, if there are loads of different types of meditations out there. There's some on the Facebook and YouTube link for Korean Buddhist Center. There's also Insight Timer, which is generally at night. I put Insight Timer on. And at the moment, my favourite one is a campfire with a stream. And I think it's because I'm sort of often thinking about how much I want to go. Like, there's a campsite that me and my cousin go, usually with Elliot, that is just in Sussex. It's like an hour and a bit away. But it's really chill there. There's no electricity. People don't play music loud, but you can have a real campfire. And it's not far from the Bluebell Railway, which is also one of my favourite places to go. Because I'm a little bit of a geek about kind of trains. Do love a good steam train, I've got to say. Who doesn't though, right? You know, if you've never had the chance to, I've been on quite a few steam railways, but Bluebell Railway is one of my favourite. But I've also been on the Lancashire Preston steam railway. I don't know what that's called, and that goes across the docks, and there's this really amazing kind of turntable that the train turns on whilst you're waiting in the carriages, or at least that's what I seem to remember. And I've been on the Dymchurch, Hythe and New Romney train millions of times. I believe that's a 0 gauge, and that's smaller than a Hey Nancy, yeah, near Woo Woo, but a field across, Kit's Cottage. So I walk through Woo Woo to get to the Bluebell Railway. I might try Woo Woo, but I don't think they allow real fires, like real wood fires. So I'm not sure, and I like the real fire. So yeah, so I've been on go back to the trains because why not? It's my talking bollocks for anyway. So Bluebell Railway, Preston and something I think it is. Anyway, Preston Docks Railway, and that one's quite fascinating because they still use some of it. And then the Dymchurch Romney and Hive, and that was fascinating because that was built by a millionaire. And they have it's a little train, which is really cool. You can even, for a birthday, hire the bar carriage. So, if anyone in the future, September, wants to hire something for me, drive me there, because obviously I'll be getting pissed. You'll have to drive. Then great, go ahead. Be my guest. Buy me gifts. I'm all good with that. But yeah, so my... how did that start? Oh yeah, Campfires, camping, railway. So at night I listen to Insight Timer, and it has been helping with my sleep because I really had some real problems sleeping in the first couple of weeks of the lockdown, and so for numerous days on the Insight Timer there's even like people telling stories, bedtime stories, and there's a sort of like a button that you can press that turns your phone off when you go to sleep, and there's anything there from like 2 minutes to fucking 3 hours. I have listened to some of them and they just annoy the fuck out of me. But the real sounds, like a stream and a campfire, oh, that's chilling as fuck, isn't it? Let's face it. Yeah, but I have noticed that there's a lot of people going very up and down at the moment, and I think it's really important not to beat ourselves up about this. Like, I know it's really difficult, and it really is like taking a hammering on everyone's mental health. I mean, this time last year, what are we in? May. This time last year, I just finished 27, or was coming up to the last 2 sessions of a 26-week therapy that I had started in September 2018. And I actually felt more centred than I'd ever done, despite the fact that I'd just been through some incredibly difficult EMDR therapy for complex PTSD. And it's strange because I mentioned the PTSD to a few people, and most of them thought that, people that were soldiers get it, and they do quite often. But there are lots of people that are actually living with PTSD that don't actually know what it is. And complex PTSD is usually from a single incident, and complex PTSD is from repeated incidents. And because I was in an abusive relationship and there was repeated incidents, then there was, that was my diagnosis, complex PTSD. And I would say, even though I've had it said to me in the past that, you seem pretty normal-ish for someone, and you don't seem to be someone that's gone through therapy. And I would say that would be why. I have spent years, I think I spent from 15 to 27 in therapy. And then I spent, what was I last year? Well, the whole time I was sort of 45. A lot of my 45th year in therapy. And it's like, I do want to say it's just, A, you do need a good therapist, and B, you do have to put the work in. When I hear people say that therapy doesn't work for them, that's usually because they haven't actually put the work into therapy. And unfortunately, as good as a therapist can be, it is your brain, and it is your head, and it is your work. I'm not denying that it's difficult and hard, and some people's mental health is very complex, and there are outside factors to getting better. It isn't like a broken leg where you can go get the bones fixed, you can see what's happening, and there are things that are changed because of it, but eventually when that leg is better and the bone is mended, I've never broken my leg, so I wouldn't know, but I presume that, you can see that it's mended, whereas with the mental health, it goes up and down. But I did learn some very, very good techniques with this mental health, and I did learn how to create a mental health first aid kit. And a mental health first aid kit is pretty much the same as having a first aid kit. But instead of having plasters or bandages or paracetamol, you have other things that are... Oh, the cat's just being sick in my room. Brilliant. I really don't think she likes that food. Anyway, so mental health first kit. So you would do something that's for the 5 senses. So my mental health first kit had in it an essential oil that was soothing and calming to me. It had things in there to eat, something sweet and something salty. It had a list of ideas of music for me to play, and it had a list of things for me to do. And when you know yourself, when you're having a bad moment within mental health, or if we're just sort of having a bad day, often what we do, and we do this if we all do this, it's how far you allow it to go, is that we have the thing happening, and then we build on the thing that's happening, and then we build and build and build and build on the thing that's happening. So the thing that's going on becomes a much, much bigger thing, and much deeper and much wider, and it carries on doing that, because there's no comma, there's no place where there is a moment where you stop that from widening, deepening gap. And I know it's very difficult. I know myself, it's very difficult. So often when I would go through the therapy, that would be on a Tuesday. I'd be fine on the Tuesday, really weirdly. And Wednesday, I'd feel quite energised, and I'd feel quite lively and happy. And then by the Thursday, it would hit me. My brain would then have processed some of what I'd gone through and what I'd been talking about. And in this case, what memory I'd been running. And by Thursday, I wouldn't have slept the night before. I'd be having nightmares. I would wake up crying. I would feel sick, or I'd want to eat everything. Like, there was no in between. It would be I wasn't hungry at all. And I actually, for this bit of therapy, I did actually, for all of the 26 weeks, I started smoking again, because I was like, okay, so she's gonna tell me that we've come to an agreement where I can't drink 24 hours before, and I can't drink 24 hours afterwards, so fuck it, I'm going to start smoking again. I really enjoy smoking. I have given it up again last October, because I know it's not great for my Raynaud's, my autoimmune illnesses, and you know what, it just smells, it costs a lot of money, and it doesn't make me feel great. But at the time, it was kind of like part of my crutch of dealing with this severe therapy I was going through. So come the Thursday, I would need my mental health first aid kit, and I would just sit there and say, one of my favourite things was like Sensations little mini poppadoms that they do, very strong taste, and I think there was Stollen in there as well, tiny little marzipan Stollen, which is very nice, isn't it? And I would sit there and I would be by myself, because often that's what I wanted to be, because I couldn't deal with other people's emotions, and I would be by myself, and rather than just jamming the food down, I would taste every single mouthful. I would slowly eat these things, and I would taste every single mouthful. And that's what they say to do. It's like a mindfulness then. And then I would have a shower in the morning, and that became part of my mindfulness routine. And actually at that time, I found out that when I put my tongue under the shower, it tickles a lot and makes me laugh. And I still do it occasionally now. Like when I had a shower this afternoon, I took some seconds just to feel what the water felt like on different parts of me, on my head, on my face, on my neck. And my mental health kit was sort of, I would sometimes just sort of sit there and file my nails, or do something that was self-care, but was self-care in a way that I could really think about what I was doing, really pay attention, but not pay attention. So it was something that I was doing so my brain could still process stuff in the background, but it wasn't processing something. Some of you may remember that at the time I'd asked for Facebook ideas for an after therapy positivity playlist, and I would immediately play that after coming out of therapy, and the music on that was, nothing was depressing on it, nothing was had memories that were attached to negative thoughts or negative moments for me. And this positivity, I think it ended up with like 127 songs. Though, you know, it had like Donna Summer's I Feel Love and Take On Me by a-ha, and You Got The Look by Prince. So quite upbeat, quite neutral songs, a lot of them, and that helped a lot. And then the smell things, I got an atomizer at the time, and I would put oils into the atomizer and have that going so the bedroom would smell welcoming, comforting. I also use lavender oil on my pillow, which I do now and again and have done. But I kind of, creating this mental health first aid kit sort of taught me how I need to look after myself better. How to, if something is, do I need to reply to something that is stressing me out? Like sometimes I'll start things on Facebook and I know it's going to kick off, and then I'm just like, actually I just can't be bothered. And I find myself quite often being more settled, even though I'm having a distractive, sort of pissed off day, because that's just how it goes, right? I found myself more settled by just leaving some things and doing other things. Yeah, and then, I mean, at the time my kids were also amazing, the three of them. They'd often, I wouldn't have the energy to cook dinner, and the stuff that I had energy for was often just very insular, very just kind of not them. And there was a few times that I had to say to them, look, I just don't have the energy for this right now. Which was very strange, because when your head is going through something so large, you know, one thing that means a lot to me is being a good mother, and I've worked really hard to be a good mother, and I hope that I have been one. I'm pretty sure that they will tell you I've been all right. And all right is good, right? It's not bad, it's all right. I certainly didn't strive for perfection with my motherhood. I do have a little bit of a moment where I do like to shout a little bit much. But they understood my mental health kit was for me. You know, in my bedroom there was a box with this list. There was food in there, and that food was only for me. That was only for me to touch, and it was only for me to be able to do this mindfulness exercise. And I know it sounds a little bit sort of like hippy dippy bollocks, but who gives a fuck what it actually sounds like? If it works for you, then it works, right? I mean, if something hasn't been working and people aren't feeling great and they're having therapy and they're going to the doctors, and, you know, people are drinking too much or there's addiction issues, if something else can help and fill a gap that is kind of positive, is better looking after yourself, fuck, that's brilliant, isn't it? That is brilliant. That is really good. Also, I did and continue to do a martial art, and that really helped. I had some really amazing friends there. And, you know, sometimes I think they would look at me and they could see that I quite often I didn't even really want to be there. I didn't want to be anywhere where people were looking at me, but I still went anyway, because I knew that they were accepting and positive and a source of support for me. And yeah, it was hard to go out when all I wanted to do was crawl up and kind of do all the things that you know, before, a long time ago, I'd wanted to do. But this mental health first aid kit was amazing. And I mean, I'm sure if you Google it, or even if you'd like some advice of what to put in it, there's quite a lot out there, and that's good. Because I think anything that helps us look after ourselves better. And the reason I know that I didn't look after myself some points in my life, make rash decisions, impulsive decisions, is because part of me didn't feel like I was loved and that I didn't deserve love. And that kind of burns to say that, because that's out there and really honest and really truthful. But that is true. A part of what came up in the therapy for me was how it feels, how I felt that I didn't deserve to be loved. And I learned that I did, and I do certainly know that I am now. And a lot of my things where I hadn't looked after myself properly was that I believed ultimately that behaviour, that not looking after yourself, comes from when you don't believe that you should give yourself the right things. Yeah, that's it really, isn't it? You know, we have to do a good job looking after ourselves, and if we don't know what doing a good job looking after ourselves looks like, then we don't know how to do it. And it does make me it does piss me off when there are people out there that have, you know, had stuff happen. Everybody has good and bad things happen, and they just presume it's easy to get better from something that is a mental health issue. And for someone that has basically suffered mental health issues on and off all my life, I can tell you it's not. It requires a fuckload of work, and it requires a fuckload of support. You can't get better if you're not in a place where you're supported to get better either. You know, the reason, as I said before, that I had complex PTSD was being in an abusive relationship, and that person, you know, people are like, well, why didn't you leave? And I was like, oh God, yeah, if only I'd thought about that. And it's like they are not, before you open your mouth when someone is talking about something that's bad that's happened to them, just take a second, find that place in you that thinks, is this the thing that I should be saying to this person? How do I support this person without coming across like a dick, basically? That's always a good plan. Being the person that doesn't always do that and sometimes opens my mouth without thinking, yeah, it's easier said than done, but give it a go at the very least. You know, just, yeah, I'm not going to go ranting about that though. That's a whole other subject. But anyway, I hope you all take care. I hope you're looking after yourselves, and I hope, if you're not, please try to look up mental health first aid kits, because they are something to look for, and they're not about, you know, they're about creating good, better habits for us, and not bad ones. But anyway, happy Sunday, guys. That probably got a lot heavier than I meant it to. Yeah, I guess it's because I've just been thinking about a few people that I know that aren't having a great time right now. And yeah, I'm sorry about that. And if there's anything I can do, let me know. But anyway, I'm going to go and clean up the cat sick. Oh, it's not very much at least. And she seems happy enough, so I think it's her food. I think I need to change her food. But yeah, you take care. See you later, guys. Say bye, Pudding. Bye, Pudding.